In the previous lesson, we applied our styling and also added in our HTML elements. Now, sometimes it is easier to build out a little bit of the application and then apply the styling. And in this case, you can also apply the styling that suits your needs. I've adjusted the slide container to be 80% by 60%, so we've on a percentage basis so that we can see it within the smaller screen size area and we don't have any overlap hanging outside of the page. And of course, you can adjust this as needed for your own project. So now going into our JavaScript, we need to set up some variables. And one of the variables, we're going to set some global variables. So we need to track what the slide index is. So where the slide is currently at, we're going to start at 0, and the slides are going to be the same as an array. We're going to start it at 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, or however many images we have. We want to make this as dynamic as possible. We also need a timer. So this is where we can set our intervals, and we can also clear out intervals. We're going to need to clear out intervals if the user is hitting the dots within the indicator and moving to the next slide automatically. We're going to have to clear the interval of the timer that is automatically progressing our slides. So we'll set that up as well. And next and last, but of course not least, we need to load a bunch of images. So these images can be a const because we're not updating them, and we can create an array called myImages. And this is actually going to be an array with objects inside. So we can contain multiple values that we can utilize within our index items. So first of all, we're going to need an image. In order to display an image, we need an image path. We're going to be using placeholder.com, and they're a great resource if you are developing an application and you need some images, some placeholder images. So this is a great, excellent resource to provide those. So I've just added in, and this image is going to be a specific color, and it's going to have a text of one image on it. We also want to have captions. And you can customize these as needed. So I'm going to create within the object, I'll create a name called caption, and then this can be a descriptor for that image, or it could be whatever you want it to contain. So right now we'll just put some dummy content in there. So a comma separated out, and you can create as many of these as you need. And in this case, I believe we'll probably just create 3 of them, and we'll update the images to be slightly different so they're not all the same and we can tell them apart. And they can also have different caption content, so on, and we'll make them look slightly different. So this one will update the color, so it's a little bit darker there. Not a color, so let's set it up at 1F and see what that looks like. You could customize these, and obviously you're going to have your own images that you're going to be placing within this object, and this is going to be fully dynamic. So we're going to build out the content of the page, all of our slide content, using this myImages object array. So placing in the path to the image and adding in a caption, and you can add as many of these as needed. So once we've built that out, we're ready to build out all of our content, our visible content area for our user. And we're going to launch a function called builder. And then just below, we'll set that function up. So there's our builder function. Console log out. We can log out the myImages object so that we can see that within the console. So go back, refresh, and you can see that we've loaded all of the object information, and it's all nicely compacted into a nice object array. So we've got array length, which is 3 items in there. And these items within an array, you can use different types of data types. So you can use numbers, text, booleans, and you can use arrays as well as objects. And in this case, objects are best suited because they provide us the ability to have more of a consistent format where we've got an image and a caption, and any other data that we want to keep track of, we could output in this type of format. So now it's up to you. Go ahead and add this into your project. Set up some of the default global variables that we're going to need. Create your array object, myImages object. You can add in your own, or you could use placeholder. And then invoke a function called builder and set up some default content within that function. And you're ready to move on to the next lesson.